thank you, Shwanda, and to the whole committee. I was going to name them all individually, but they are identified on your little program sheet there on your charters. So I'll ask you to refer to all these classmates who made this happen tonight. And in fact, let's give them all a round of applause. I think Beverly Murray McMichael is not here tonight, is that right? But everybody else is here, right? And Angela informs me that there are more than 60 of our classmates who are represented at this table, somewhere in the 60s. That's amazing when you think about that many. So we truly are blessed. But it is a pleasure to be with you tonight, the class of NHS, class of 79. It's great to see you all tonight. 16,567 days have transpired since we gathered at SFA's William R. Johnson Coliseum on May 29, 1979, to hear our names announced as graduates of Nacogdoches High School. Who knows how many more days would have come and gone had not these classmates that are listed here decided that it was time to gather as many of us as were alive and eager to share pictures of our grandkids to pull off a 45th year high school class reunion. We're indebted to this committee who gave up numerous evenings to join Zoom calls, who gathered the names of those who are deceased and contact information on those of us who remain, who spread the word on social media, who made all the arrangements with McLemore's and the Vernonia Hotel, who decided on a menu and agenda. If they didn't pull together a playlist, at least contracted with a DJ, and took care of many of the many details, the myriad details that make up such a weekend as this, so that we all, including me, could just send in a few bucks and show up and enjoy a good time. So thank you all very much. Well, it's a real blessing to reconnect with the people we grew up with, the people who saw us both at our best, in the flower of our youth, and also at our worst, in the foolishness of our youthful immaturity. We're well past both now. Well, after seeing the pictures from last night, I really can't say Danny Watson is past the... Is he in the bathroom? Or the odds? Yeah, I can't really say that Danny is past that youthful indiscretion and immaturity, but we're also well along on the path that leads eventually and inexorably to a box or an urn at the front of a chapel surrounded by flowers and friends and family members, of course. I can't wait to find out what Danny has planned for that event. By age 63, what's that? All right, see you there. By age 63, we've come to terms with the fact that the flower of youth fades and wilts and wrinkles. That is for everybody except him and Carla and a few others. Certainly Shwanda and Shantae. I could go on and on. But we've accumulated the wisdom that comes from living life and making mistakes and trying to train teenagers. Who knew that the world and its technology would change so drastically over the course of 45 years? Who knew we also would change so dramatically and become our parents, and perhaps even our grandparents? But how great is it that we got to live during this particular period of human history? We had the misfortune of experiencing the AMC Pacer and Captain and Tennille's Muskrat Love, featuring actual muskrat bedroom noises. But we had the great good fortune of getting through school before the advent of smartphones and social media. We had way more firearms than pharmaceuticals in our cars and trucks ringing the school. And most of the guys, you'll recall, had sword-sized old-timers and Uncle Henrys folded in the back pockets of their jeans. And I'm not aware that either kind of weapon was ever pulled in offense or defense, even when we, as underclassmen, were occasionally threatened in the hallways by an aggressive semi-truck driver with realistic sound effects. we had the opportunity to go off campus for lunch, and if we decided not to eat at the school cafeteria, we could either walk here to the hotel or a bit farther to Jaffa Fritz or even Strickling's Pharmacy, all of which were downtown, or drive out to Terry's on South Street or the Barbecue House on North Street or to Wendy's, McDonald's, or Burger King. And I think I recall even a Jack in the Box being an option during our high school years. In the winter of our senior year, 3 weeks before the calendar, or 3 weeks after the calendar turned to 1979, the Dallas Cowboys narrowly lost Super Bowl 13 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Which two teams will be facing each other tomorrow night? Probably with the same result. 1979, I did stay seated during that call. 1979 also was the year that saw the introduction of the McDonald's Happy Meal, Honey Nut Cheerios, Hubba Bubba Bubblegum, the Sony Walkman, and the Black & Decker Dust Buster, some of which we still use today. The popular albums we were enjoying on our 8-track players were Supertramp's Breakfast in America and Billy Joel's 52nd Street. The singles we enjoyed in the spring before graduation were Rod Stewart's Do You Think I'm Sexy, Wings' Good Night Tonight, Cheryl Lynn's Got to Be Real, Earth, Wind & Fire's September, perhaps you remember, Village People's YMCA, Sister Sledge's We Are Family, I have to say We Are Family, right? And Peaches and Herds, how fitting is this, Reunited. The most romantic among us were swooning to Neil Diamond and Barbra Streisand's You Don't Bring Me Flowers. It wouldn't be until the summer of 1979 that Donna Summer released Bad Girls, Chic released Good Times, and Michael Jackson released Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. It was a good summer for soul music, at least, not the soul. And the fall of 1979 was pretty rich too, with Kool and the Gang's Ladies' Night, the Commodores' Still, and Prince's I Want to Be Your Lover, all hitting the chart in the fall of 45 years ago. I want to congratulate the planning meeting not only for executing all the details, but also for choosing this particular weekend for our reunion. With the help of a reliable internet calculator, I established that as of October the 5th, just over 76% of the year 2024 is spent. And with the help of a reliable online actuarial table, I found that if one were to average the remaining life expectancy of American males and females of 63.5 years of age, which I did, one would find that approximately 77% of our lives is in the rearview mirror. My point is that on average, if our average lifespan, the entirety of our existence above ground, were reflected as a one-year calendar, we are basically at October 5th. We won't quibble over a 1% difference because in just 3 days we'll be exactly there. The blooming springtime of our existence is an increasingly distant memory. We would have turned 18 on March 20th. And the long, glorious, and busy summertime of our lives faded into history just a few years ago. Now, autumn is upon us, and that is readily apparent to our spouses, children, and grandchildren, even if we will tonight repeat white lies to each other about how little we've changed. So here we are, at October 5th, in both 2024 and our lives on Earth. We have a couple of good months still ahead of us before the cold winds of early winter find us a greatly diminished number that is present tonight, and that table greatly enhanced. If there's something we need to accomplish then, something important we need to do, we need to get to it shortly. Autumn is a sneaky season, a hastening season that moves more rapidly than any other. Just ahead, as any recent trip to Walmart reminds us, is Halloween. And in this metaphor, it often brings more tricks than treats, and scary surprises in terms of declining abilities and unscheduled medical procedures and family emergencies. But thankfully, close on Halloween's heels is Thanksgiving, where we gather with our loved ones and reflect on all the blessings we enjoy and have enjoyed from the hand of God and the kindness of our fellow human beings. The shortest 5 weeks of the year are those between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Christmas comes upon us before we know it, as we try to wrap up both the year's business and all the presents for the grandkids and get all our affairs in order for family gatherings and celebrations. In this analogy, they are celebrations of life. And those who belong to Christmas's namesake get the best gift imaginable there at the end, the one that makes all the difficulties of life worth living when these corruptible bodies put on incorruption and we mortals put on immortality. When Shwanda informed me that the committee had put me down for reflections tonight, my first thought was of how grateful I am to be a part of the Nacogdoches High School class of 1979. I looked over the list and checked it twice, didn't see anyone naughty, just people who are nice. Except Don Jones, who is perpetually disappointed in me for not being elected President of the United States. I'm grateful to all of you as I leafed through the pages of our annual. And I noted that we didn't suffer, at least not that I recall, the slightest bit of racial tension or discord among our class. I'm very grateful to all of you for that. And I noted ever since we graduated. I'm grateful also for the many contributions that you all have made and continue to make for your families and communities. You all have represented us well. Thank you. Yes, you're worthy of that. I'm grateful also to all the teachers who prepared so diligently and taught us so well at Regay, Fredonia, Nettie Marshall Elementary Schools, and at Emmeline Carpenter and T.J. Rusk Middle Schools, and at Nacogdoches High School. I'm grateful to Mrs. Mary Irons, to Mrs. Claudette Brown, to those teachers and administrators close to some of you whom I did not sit under as a student, like Mrs. Barbara Reed, Mrs. Evelyn Jackson, Mrs. Willie Moore, Mrs. Joan Johnson, Mr. Johnny Johnston, and Coach Bo McMichael. And of course, I really must give a shout out to Mrs. Becky Medley, who along with you young ladies helped all us 9th grade boys discover our hormones. I'm grateful that we got to grow up in America, the freest and most affluent society that teenagers in all of history and all the world ever got to grow up in. I'm grateful, as I know you are, for our children who taught and still are teaching us things about ourselves and life that we never could have learned apart from the challenge of parenting. I'm thankful also for grandchildren, and thankful that, as yet, with number 19 on the way, I don't have to raise any of them. God bless those of you who are doing so. Most of all, I'm thankful to God, who has preserved us all alive until this date and time, and I'm most thankful that though He knows all the grievous mistakes and sins that I committed before, during, and after I graduated from Nacogdoches High School, He so loved me and the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever would believe on Him should not perish but have everlasting life. As we approach the chill of autumn and the colder winds of the late days of December of our lives, this gives me hope and even more true joy. I'm blessed to be making this journey with you, and I'm very thankful to know that you personally, and that God knit our lives together as members of the NHS class of 79. Thanks again to the committee for your work, and thanks to all of you for making the sacrifice to come out this weekend and come back to Nacogdoches and make this evening very special. God bless all of you, and let's enjoy the night. After all, it's October 5th, and New Year's Eve will be here before you know it. Thank you.